maybe shocked to have a guest today. I usually just rant on my own.
I consent.
Yes, he consent. That's hilarious. I like it when it's non-consensual. Hi, I'm James Jr. Welcome to JLJ this morning, live with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I just said I want it to be non-consensual, which is you're probably going to sue me later. It's his birthday week, and it's also all kinds of things we're going to talk about. I'll be welcome, Flobo Voice.
That's me. Another opportunity to be on the show, JLJ this morning. Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yes, we're glad you're here. Also, folks, it is this month, this month has another 8 days or 9 days left in it. This month is LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. It is also, for me and Flobo, National Caribbean American Month. Something I learned this year. Never knew what that was.
Yeah, I learned this here too. I was like, we got a month? All right. We got a month.
It's over.
I know, right? By the way, it is the month.
It's also Alzheimer's Awareness Month.
Yeah.
It was Juneteenth. For me, it was Father's Day. It was also the first day of summer yesterday, longest day of the year. And it's your birthday week.
Yeah.
Weekend. So June is a busy month.
It kind of creeps up on me. You know, I was always somebody that didn't believe in birthday weeks a month ago, though that's so selfish. But then lo and behold, creeping up things, activities are spreading out. And I got a birthday week, a birthday month, a birthday year. I don't know.
It's one of those things where that's what I always say, people like us who are busy, and nowadays we can't always get together for one day, for one big event. I don't know, as I get older, Flobo, I don't want those big events anymore.
No, I don't. Unless it's something casual, like I'm going to be here by myself. You can come through if you want to. I don't want like a dinner. I don't want like that anymore because it's just to be all complicated, or a boat ride. Whatever.
A boat ride?
Yeah.
Well, you're bougie. I've done all that.
Yeah. Speaking of West Indians, yo, go on the boat ride. Like, I don't want to go on a boat. Stop telling me on boats. The church take us on a boat ride. Like, I don't want to go on a boat.
I love boating. I love boating. I love boating.
Every time I go to fundraise, the church always has us on a boat. I don't know why it's a West Indian.
No, you're right. It's a thing. I'm saying I love boating. It's a whole thing. I should be in the Caribbean, obviously.
Yeah, you should.
By saying hello to Flobo, give him a happy birthday, give him a high five, whatever you guys want to do. We're going to celebrate him and talk about life. One of the things we were talking about just before we came on the air is the new Beyonce and Drake stuff that's coming out. New songs are coming out, new albums, and it's music that brings the world down. And Flo and I do music together, do music separately, all kinds of stuff.
I got a question for you, James, real quick. You said you used to be a DJ, or do you still DJ? Did you go by DJ JLJ, or did you have a different name back then?
No, back then it was like, oh, what's something. No, I was just James Jr.
Okay.
I didn't do like DJ Taurus or anything.
No gimmicks needed. That's dope.
Back then I didn't. I was like, I just kind of just got a bump on my shoulder. I was like, bump my thing. I'm like, where did that come from?
I think you're flexing on like I look at my skin, it's bronze, and
it is nice and brown. But I was like, what's that? Where did that come from? I don't know where that came from. I didn't. I was gonna do DJ Taurus. That's what I was gonna do at first. So I'm going, but I just said, it was just James Jr. I just went by I wasn't by my name.
Okay.
The JLJ came much later anyway in my life. That came up much later.
Oh.
People didn't call me back. They just called me James Jr. like one word. But yeah, when I DJ'd in Sacramento, and I did some DJing in San Francisco. I just kept it at James Jr.
Favorite town of all.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't do any. Almost like like Calvin Harris stuff. They don't have DJ.
I mean, Calvin Harris isn't his name though. That's a stage name.
I know. But I mean, like people some go by just names and not like DJ Notary or DJ Poo Poo or whatever. Like,
right.
Back then, that was popular back then to kind of go by. But people like legendary DJs like Larry Levan and all them, they have just went by names. They just went by names, whether it was
they're like New York movements, yeah.
I want to know who your comedian heroes are, Flobo.
Oh, that's okay. So I used to get dragged for this. I want to say this for background. I like the utility of comedy more than like the I am in a dark room making jokes. So I grew up with Jay Leno first. That was cool because the Tonight Show was like a service to us working class people, you know, and hearing my dad laugh, a guy who never did laugh, was always cool. So I was into Jay Leno. As I got into maturity stuff, I was into Trevor Noah before he got famous in Africa. And then now it's a little bit of both, a little bit of everything, because I have my Netflix show where I go into the comedy specials. It's available exclusively on Patreon, patreon.com. That's Flobo Boys. So I would say Trevor Noah, Jay Leno. I was a Kevin Hart guy, just on scale. Chris Rock based on longevity. Jerry Seinfeld based on the way he writes things. It's kind of all over. When it comes to variety shows, Flip Wilson, Cedric the Entertainer. So yeah.
Oh, yes, there you go. But yes, so to music, we're saying how I get Phil doesn't dance. I want you to mind, he doesn't dance. I dance, he doesn't dance.
No tengo ritmo, no tengo ritmo.
I don't know why you don't bailar. No bailamos with him.
Why do you Spanglish?
It was a Spanglish. I was about Spanglish with my sister the other day. We talked about this Spanglish stuff. Hi, ladies. So he does no bailaring out there in the world. I bailar all the time. But here's the thing. But we like dance music and stuff. And now the new Drake and Beyonce are house music, actually, which is something we haven't talked about in a long time. EDM has been the latest alliteration of dance.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that. Just how I love house music.
Yeah.
I have house music songs in my catalog that I've made myself. I like house and disco. I never left the 70s and 80s.
Well, for me growing up in elementary school, I went to the one by my house, which was a very predominantly West Indian neighborhood. And so when it came time for middle school, my brother went to one school, went to Shellbank. I don't know if you know what that is. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to Shellbank. I'm going to Cunningham, which is like East 10th, like by James Madison. That's where like Bernie Sanders grew up. That's where like Ruth Bader Ginsburg grew up. At the time, a lot of European immigrants were coming into the country. A lot of the Russian Jews, Belarusian Jews as well. So dance music was like really popular in that area. KTV was on full blast from the stores and shops. So I got into dance music in 1990. 97, 95, 96, 97. And I got dragged for it because it was like, it wasn't hood. It wasn't black semen. It was considered like that Euro trash, that techno, everything was techno derisively. And so I had Scatman John cassettes and I had to hide them around the house because it really wasn't my thing. But seeing it come around and seeing pop music to say, you know what? Because pop was hip hop for a long time. And it's okay, now we're doing dance now. It was kind of sad to see hip hop take a seat, but at the same time, it was cool that I was like validated being into that stuff. Like I was in Jocelyn Enriquez. I tried to get her on my show, New Amsterdam Radio, for like a year. She's been ignoring my messages because she's been so influential, and she's a little Filipino woman as well, into the whole culture about dance. And so I was always a fan.
What's funny is that dance seems to be the stepchild in music, and they're always trying to kill it off. And I think dance, that's why I think with EDM becoming so big, and mainstream, I thought, how funny is that? Because it's not, and even you know, bachata music and merengue, people like Ventura, now Romeo Santos, who went solo, like that kind of music is becoming big too. It's like dance doesn't go. I mean, people like to dance.
Yeah. It's one of those things that reminds me of like comedy movies winning Oscars. It's like we all love to laugh, but like nobody wants to like pin down and go, oh, this is funny to me, or like this music makes me dance. It's kind of like I like adult contemporary.
That's so true. I didn't talk about that before. That's so true. It is in the same relationship to like comedies when it comes to recognizing them in certain circuit, like the Oscars or like the Emmys sometimes, like recognizing their greatness. Like not everybody can do drama, but I'm like, well, they can at some level. I mean, but not everybody can do comedy. Actually, that's the opposite. It's like people can't do comedy.
True.
That's why a lot of comedians are good in dramas. They're always like, how are they good in dramas? Well, a lot of them are broken inside in real life.
That does help, yes.
Yeah, but being funny, as you know, it could be a very hard thing to do.
Well, yeah. As a comedian, I say this like, even though I have a show this weekend, I'm not really a comedian, but like
you're a comedian.
After Saturday, you let me know if I am. We do act outs, and that's what you present a premise, and then you basically act out what's happening. And so you are jumping into characters and their motivations, what makes them frustrated, to prove your point, to prove your punchline, and you come out. So when someone goes, "Hey, you do dramatic acting," that's essentially what it is. You're practicing every night.
Yeah, and so relating this back to dance music, I like Ventura. You like it? It's so interesting because they're always trying to kill it. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. But somehow it morphs. It does take on some other elements. Like for a while, for me, turning 2021, it was a lot of the dancey hip hop. It was De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, all the early stuff where you could actually, Rump Shaker, Baby Got Back, and all that stuff came out. It was all you could dance to. TLC was very dance hip hop. Like there was hip hop you could dance to.
Right.
I keep thinking that's what's so funny. It's like it was still dance music. It was just packaged under maybe different names. And then for me, I was like, disco was, I mean, yeah, they tried to kill it back in the 80s, whatever. It became high energy, which was a huge thing. Expose and Lisa and Culture, all that. It just, again, it morphed into like to that. It makes me laugh that they always try to kill it. They're always trying to kill it.
It's like, true with any culture. In Indian music, South Asian music, there's like Bhangra. Like in the early 2000s, it was like Indian themes and like dance. And in the Indian Caribbean diaspora, there was chutney music, which was like Indian music mixed with calypso and soca. And nobody asked for those, but they're still there for a reason.
Yes. I like making music because JC actually did a couple of things.
Yeah. We were the boys.
Yes. I know we give you guys pieces of what the songs are. Just look them up.
Legally, that's what we could do.
Exactly. We don't have the rights. I don't know what's done here. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. No, but that's I just think it's such an interesting thing. But your analogy of close with the comedy thing, it seems like it's, and we'll say with like soaps, wrestling, all this entertainment. When I watched wrestling, I know we're going all over the place. This is my show, so I do that anyway. When I watched it first time in like 30 years, I told you, I said, I started getting into it as a sport.
Yeah.
I started watching the athleticism and all that. I watched the marketing piece too. That was fascinating also. But I watched all the sport of it. I'm like, there is. It's actually, if you look at it that way, there's a lot of sport to it.
I mean, absolutely. So this is, for those that follow James and I had this little like aversion to being like, it's a soap opera, right? Because wrestling used to be that way a long time ago. It used to be specifically, I can't believe Hulk Hogan talked to Macho Man's girlfriend. It's going to be a problem. And those things happen too. Like, but to me, I think WWE specifically just took what ESPN was doing and saying, here is the action. Let's draw storylines. Can Tom Brady win a championship is what the storylines are pretty much been simplified to. But yeah, I think having that sports presentation for me allows me to watch sports without becoming bogged down by sports. Now I'm into baseball again after a bit of a hiatus, but even though I am that fan of baseball, you can get lost in statistics and sabermetrics, and this person needs this percentages and stuff like that, and it goes. But with wrestling, at the end of the day, it's predetermined. So yeah, you can talk about who's going to win, who's going to lose, but is he a champion? Cool. Is he not? Dope. And not worry about things like that.
What you just said was so funny. It's predetermined. I like that word. And so I've been using that word ever since you said that on the show. I've been using that word about other stuff like the Real Housewives, things like that.
Kardashians.
Yes. I was like, there are things that are, I always say produced.
Right.
Another word we may use, they're produced. And I guess if you watch them that way, then you're fine. Some material I can't watch because I just can't turn I know how the sausage is made, so that I can't go back to eating sausage, so to speak.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like it's already see it. But if I can accept it that way, that's just fine. With wrestling, I was able to accept it that way.
It's funny you say that because the first time I had chorizo, it exploded and took me a long time to eat chorizo again, just because the casing, like, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's not pretty, folks. And, a lot of toenails and shit on it. The whole story is, but I think it's one of those things where, like, if you really do, if you can look at it a certain way, and the same with soaps. I think people. There's been a lot of dissension on Twitter recently, and I've been part of it on soaps right now because of just, it's like they're shows to entertain you, take you out of your life sometimes, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, but there's soap operas. There's certain tropes they put in there, and you have to accept them sometimes. It may be like, okay, another pregnancy, another dead twin comes to life. There's certain things I just tell people I accept it because it's a soap opera. It is. It's just. That's what they do, and it's how it is. And I think, and then back to music a little bit, it's like music doesn't really go away any type. It just doesn't. Rock isn't dead, folks. There's still rock music out there. It's just that it's whatever becomes popular is what rotates.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even dead genres come back, like ragtime. You can go to around this time of the year when there's like going to like those Americana things for Independence Day. Everyone gets on the piano and goes. "Brr, brr, brr." So like it's kind of cool that there is like an energy. You know, I don't think there's many dead genres out there.
Yeah, I think so. But I just think it's funny when another generation going to and actually going into the Kate Bush running up that hill, where she broke 3 records, like the oldest person to have oldest woman to have a number one song, um, longest time to go number one, which is 37 years to reach number one. When it was released back in the day, it wasn't number one. It was a minor hit, and then also time between number one hits. Her last number one hit was 1978 for Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, first of all, yay, older folks like us, we can still have hits. Don't count us out. Do not count us out. We are still in. That's right, kids. But just that a new generation, because of Strain. I watched the episode that the song is featured in. It's a very intense. I won't give it away. If you're going to watch it at home, folks. Very intense. You can watch it, but for the folks at home, I'm not going to give it away. But it's a very intense scene. You think with Kate Bush, yeah. That whole new generation is discovering her. People like Prince. Prince wrote 2 songs for her on one of her albums. So if you want to check out Kate Bush, she was big in the 80s. I have all her albums. She had a huge following. Then she kind of just dropped out. I think in the early 90s, she just kind of dropped out, which they do. And she's somebody you might want to check out. She's actually influenced a lot of your current singers out there.
It makes sense. I gave Stranger Things a season and a half, and I was like, all right. Because the guys who made the show went to my film school. So like they were tired of like, oh, we're gonna look at the Duffer Brothers, what they went to, because they had their short film called Eater, which was kind of like their first like calling card. And so I gave the first season, enjoyed it. Second season, I was like, but everyone tells me this fourth one, they're back. Like they're dope again. So I don't know.
Well, I'm stuck in the 80s. So it's very 80s, very 80s.
Yeah.
That's my I look back, and I don't know about you, for you, because we've been around a little longer now. You have a birthday coming up. I love the 70s. That's my childhood. I love the 80s. That's my coming of age.
Yeah.
And my adult years. And I mean, even though I like the 90s, whatever, but like the 70s and 80s are my 2 favorite time periods. Even though we were going through a lot of stuff eternally out there, and there's some things that were bad.
Sure.
But in terms of culture stuff, I really love it. So when I see something refer back to it. So do you have that same feeling about the 90s or the 2000s?
I mean, yeah, I was born in the 80s, but I consider myself a 90s kid. Like when someone does like 90s nostalgia, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And I do think that 2000s pop was better than 90s pop, which is kind of like the hot take when it comes to hip hop heads or whatever. But like, it's hard to deny when I graduated grad school in 2010, and I was single guy in the city in Glendale for like the first couple of years and moved out down here afterwards. Like that decade, the 2010s are kind of like my second coming of age. I was done with school at 25 and going, well, now what? So like that decade always sticks with me. And that was the basis of the book. Graduation Day, available now on Amazon. Get yours today.
Our watch, and also you can also watch it between the page of James Lott Jr. and Flobo Boys. Graduation Day here on JLJ. We talked about the book. I love the book. But yeah, so I look back, and so on birthdays, that's a good segue. I love segues, even though I do like non sequiturs too, but I like segues. I'm a random person. But I do like order, also I'm an organizer. So it's weird for me. I like randomness and I like organization. It's a weird life for me.
Yeah, it's gonna have the structure option. You can be like, nah.
And a lot of times I'm like, nah. All right. So when the birthday comes up, do you get reflective?
A little bit. I would say my most reflective holiday is New Year's Day. This is why it's my favorite. Okay. That's the day I sit there and I go, I've come this far. With birthdays, it's interesting because every year is different. I get reflective around the time I was born, which is like 11 o'clock in the morning. I'll sit and think about how far I've come, but like I try not to. Like for me, that day is a feasting holiday. What kind of new food can I try? What kind of donut can I have and have that moment or whatever? Just enjoy the moment, because as I get older now, I feel like there's people outside of my friend zone or like want to celebrate with me. And that to me can be kind of stressful, ironically. It's always like, oh man, what's your birthday? You're like, I'm eating a donut. No, you gotta do something cool. You're like, I get how my dad was, But as far as reflection, definitely a January thing.
That makes actually sense. Beginning of the year, it's a new birth kind of thing.
Yeah.
So where are you? How have you been in terms of, you look back at your life coming up to this point? Where do you think, where are you?
Yeah, where am I? I go through phases, man, because I for full disclosure, because we are okay with ages. On Saturday, I'll be 37. which is crazy on that
It's
level.
a baby. It's a baby to me. I'm like, a baby.
It's crazy because when my dad was 35, he went to a brand new country, had a government job, had a wife, a house, and 2 kids. And I'm in the same country and I have the opposite. So there's times I'm like, man, am I doing enough? Like, am I doing the things that I think that men are supposed to do, like have a house and a wife and a picket fence and kids and babies and all that stuff? But at the same time, it's like I'm being able to do things that didn't exist when my dad was a kid. Like my entire revenue generating things are jobs that weren't a thing, and be able to say that, hey, look, my college hit me up and said, you're a success. Let me rate you up. Or, hey, can you commentate this Lucha Libre match because you're so good on the microphone? Didn't think that was going to be a thing. So I'm like so happy on that level. The pandemic taught me what I love to do, which is kind of weird to say. That's why I got to say, shout out to lockdowns. but
Yay, lockdowns.
Yeah, lockdowns. But that put me on the path because I really didn't know what I was going to do in my life. I was driving from comedy clubs in Orange County after work to AfterBuzz in North Hollywood to get exposure, to get booked for comedy clubs, and it wasn't working. But I didn't want to tell myself it wasn't working because I felt like that would be a failure. But when everything was put off the board and one goes, all right, entertain us now with a laptop at the time and a camera, I was able to do this. Then I know I've moved on a bit.
You said that phrase a long time ago not a long time ago, a while back on a show you did with me, that there were jobs that you're doing things that were not creative. That really struck me. And I was telling it to my Aunt Faith, shout out to Aunt Faith, who loves you also.
Hey, what's up, Aunt Faith? Love you too.
She loves you. So, but we're talking about that. And I said, Flobo said something that I never really thought about before, that, even organizing, there was no industry there was nothing to grow up to become. So I'm doing jobs that were not invented either. They just were. Yeah. I never thought of it that way when you said that. I just love that. It's like this wasn't here. This is all just like,
yeah. I think I mentioned a couple of our shows, at least my shows. My maternal grandparents chopped sugarcane for a living. Like they went out like with machetes and like crops. Like it was like with not like tractors or my dad's side were butchers and fishermen. My dad's uncle is actually a local legend. His name was Galvo, and his claim to fame was he was able to hold his breath for like 5 minutes to get sea eggs out there in the ocean. And that's what my grandparents were. They're from the sticks of a small island out there in the West Indies. And to say, hey, mom, dad, this video game is paying me money to talk over it. It's just
yeah, no, I get it from my family too. My grandmother and them from the West Indies and Puerto Rico and all that. They know what's going on. They were just like, okay, James, sure, sounds good. They had no idea what I was doing. I mean, yeah. But see, I started later than you did. So many of my grandparents died before I started, but my Grand Susie got a chance to see Miss Brooklyn, Grand Susie, Prospect Park, Park Slope. We got to do shout outs. West 4th and Farmington Parkway.
Yeah.
But she got to see what I was doing, and I remember before she passed, because she wasn't sick, she just died. So it was one day she died. But I remember going to visit her, the last time I visited her, and I was showing her when I won my award, when I won my Capital C Award, my speech that went viral, and I showed her speech, and I saw her get tears in her eyes, and like she was like, "Wow, she sounded like you're really doing it. Mm-hmm. Like you're really out there in Hollywood, like you're doing it." And I think it kind of hit her. At that point, I've been doing it for like maybe 10 years.
Right.
She's like 9 years, like 5 years ago. But she was like, I think she didn't get what I was doing. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah, you do shows. What's a podcast? I don't organizing. What's that? You're like, I don't think she's a life coach. Like, but I think her seeing that, and I showed her a couple other things. It was kind of like, wow, like that's for real, so to speak. It gave her a different context.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I got to see that before she passed. It was kind of like of that older generation who just, they didn't know.
I used to be so resentful. I remember when I sat down and I got into grad school, I went to Chapman. I went down in Orange County. And I told my dad, I'm going to Chapman. I'm going to take the car. I'm going to drive out there. And he yelled at me and he goes, "Are you nuts? What are you doing?" And I thought at the time that was just so hurtful that I have this dream, I have this vision, and you won't support me. And there's still parts of that I work through. But the more I think about it, it's like, well, what is a visionary, right? You're seeing something that no one else does. And so if you think of something, if I go NFT or crypto, I'm like, what's that? Right? So my parents were like, what's that to me? And so I'm happy to say, look, I'm not like rolling in it, but I can say, look, what I've left home to do. I'm doing some iteration of that. I didn't leave home to do a job I could have done in New York. I'm doing something. I have a network here that's exclusively here, even though I do get homesick from time to time.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. No, it's amazing, and I like me too. It's funny you mentioned that. Me too. I've had to learn that much of my friends, because I have kids and grandkids, and a lot of them, as they're growing up, my two younger grandkids, this is all they've known. Is the Papa Jamie is in TV or he does music. And I remember hearing my grandson Rylan sing my song "I Am Ready."
Oh yeah,
I was in the car, and him and his father sang it to me, and I cried.
wow.
I thought, oh my God, my grandson knows my song.
Yeah,
like they would say, listen to it. So it's like, but a lot of times in context, just like they were just wanted Papa Jamie to come home and visit. And while I play with them, they always brought me back to center. It was just like
sure.
they did. My daughter used to watch all my stuff back in the day. She goes, now I get too much stuff. I can't watch everything. She used to follow along and be like, oh my God, you talked to so-and-so. But the kids was kind of like, Papa Jamie does stuff. Now they're older. It's funny because I'll get a text like, your bread video showed up once again on my timeline. My granddaughter, I'm like, I'm sorry your grandfather's all over the place. I'm like, it's laughed. I'm like, I'm so sorry. To actually doing a show with my grandson Zayden on the Left-Handed Show,
right?
Was a trip for me to actually do a show with him, or to have my daughter Monica and her now husband come to AfterBuzz, and people were like, "You're not a pod person, you do have family." Well, I do have family. I do have children.
Go back to the pod.
Back to the pod. But they were just like, she looks like you, and oh my God, like it was just this, it was kind of fun showing her off and her sitting in the audience of my show, and then you would sit on the couches, my show. And it was like, a lot of times they didn't know what I was. They just know that dad does this or grandpa does this. They didn't really know. So
yeah,
they always kept me grounded. Like they didn't care if I got an award, or they just want to know if I'm gonna come play or bring presents. That's what they cared about when they were little. And
that's cool. You got to share. I mean, even though it was kind of fleeting because it was a little short. The one time my dad took me to his job, he's working for transit. He's working for New York City Transit. And we saw the trains and the yard and where he plugged in things. It was always like, wow, I get where he's going. He's not just leaving home to do nothing.
My grandpa Bob, I came to New York the second time. I think I was a teenager, and back in the '80s, the dangerous '80s. I do miss dirty New York. I do. He had a stick. We had a gun to train, and he was like, "Stay by me." And I had to stand because my grandfather Paul was like 6'2", he was like bigger than I was, and everything too. Big voice like mine. I look just like him, that whole thing.
Okay.
But he took me to work with him to Chase Manhattan in the World Trade Center. And took me down there, and it was just so funny because he was showing me up because it's his grandson from California, and I look like him, and it was this whole thing. It was funny. I never really got that until late, like you said, until later. I'm like, that's a great memory to kind of have. I never for him, he was so proud to show me off.
Yeah.
And for me, it's going to see what he does. I had to see what he actually did for a living.
Yeah.
I like you. I didn't know what he did. He just went off to, he just left the house and somebody came home. But it was kind of nice to be kind of like, wow, okay. He's a man, and he was doing, he did a job. I don't know if he was happy there or not, but he did a job that he did.
I still kind of wish I wasn't an uncle, though my brother didn't make that happen, because I wanted to have those moments with my nieces or nephews. Be like, look, see, kids of my own, never, but definitely.
That's funny because you come from me because you really are a small, immediate family. You're a small, literally just your brother, your parent. That's it.
Yeah. So like we do have a bunch of cousins because everyone's related on the islands or whatever.
Of course.
For a bunch of reasons I don't know, I can't really get into because it's weird. Our family's pretty small, so it's for me. My Christmas list is great. It's my immediate family, and my brother's birthday's in December, so brother, mother, dad, bam. But yeah, I really wanted to be an uncle. That's kind of like a life goal I wanted to be, even though it wasn't really my goal to achieve. Like I can't like, come on, brother, do it.
do it now, do it. We get it again.
But yeah.
Trust me, it's all kids ruin everything.
They do.
They didn't ruin everything. No, I say that I say the tongue and cheek. But no, I never. I was talking to somebody else. I never pictured myself being a father and grandfather. No, I pictured myself being a father, but I just never thought the grandparent part. And I'm about to become a grandparent again for the 5th time. That's just weird to me. I'm like, I number 5. I just never really thought that. And I feel so young still, so it's kind of very interesting. Oh yes, Tony JC, your man is here.
Wait,
he loves Filipito. It's his birthday week, so wish my birthday, Tony JC. You can ask him any question you want.
Oh yeah. Birthday questions, bam. question.
He loves some Flobo. So
I don't know why. I'm pretty much an average dude. I don't really know what what the appeal
You're not
is.
average.
I am average. I'm average in all kinds of ways. What?
But no. So anyway, so I think that's really interesting. And that's funny you bring this up. So this segues into Father's Day, because I like the thing you wrote about your father and the three things he said in life, and the whole Dodgers thing was hilarious.
Yeah.
But the first couple things you said, I'm like, those are exactly true. Those are true things.
Yeah.
So your dad. So as you get older, how is your relationship changing with him?
My dad is the most complicated person on the planet. And he was the kind of guy that would come home and just say no to things. Dad, can we? No. Dad, can I have it? No. Can we have it? No. And growing up, there was tensions there. I would say it's always been better with me and my dad than my brother was with my dad, because they actually fought for a while. But now as I get older and I have my own relationships and I deal with my own girlfriend, boyfriend situations, even kids, I understand. Like I understand why he was so rough around the edges. And I begin to appreciate that. He did what the American dream was. He went to a different country. He got a government job, worked his way up. He was a suit by the time he left, and he retired with a positive net income, which is more to say than a lot of people. So I respect that sometimes. He is a staunch conservative, and sometimes there's times where like, I really disagree with what you're saying about that. But that said, I mean, you can't really knock someone that was there. A lot of my friends didn't have dads. He was on the couch. He wasn't going to your games. He wasn't going to say, you can do it, son, but he was there. And when I came down to college and I said, I want to go to college, he supported me. So yeah. So I always give him props. I try to get him something. He's a hard person to shop for. He doesn't like to go out to restaurants because he cooks his own food. He doesn't like to wear clothes because he doesn't believe in labels. So I got him a stack of word searches this year for Father's Day. But he's okay. Yeah.
I think it's funny because sons and fathers. Oh my God, my son says the same thing. I say no. Anyway, what's black families? You say no, we still know everything anyway.
No,
no, we can't have it.
No, you can't have it.
No, it's funny because it's especially for black men. There was a whole debate going on for Father's Day, and I saw a thread about that, and should single mothers be added into Father's Day and that kind of stuff? And I was on the discussion. I can get into that, discussion. That's the thing. But for me, I was like, this is a great chance to actually let's focus on the male side. I know that language is changing in gender and all that stuff, but for me, I'm old school. I want to get back to like looking, and so I saw so many positive images that were sent to me of black men as fathers. People were sending me all kinds of stuff, artwork and things. I loved it. I thought, because especially with black men, we have this whole thing that nobody has a father, and the fathers are deadbeats, and like I had a deadbeat father, so I did have that, but I was a good father, so I did switch it around. So I
am a good father, present tense, baby.
Okay, that's right, bitches. I know. I talk to my kids. I'm a good father and grandfather. But I have friends who are black who had good fathers also. I had fathers who are around also. But you bring up a point that I love, that it's complicated for that generation, especially when they come from other countries. Or I understand my father more now than I did when I was younger.
Absolutely. To take it to Leopard just says, my dad was not affectionate, but he knew he loved me. My dad, I was 24 years old after staying at the house. I visited New York and went back to LA or SoCal, and he shook my hand. Didn't hug or kiss me. He shook my hand, and I remembered that. That was the first time he was like, "Yeah, here's some contact," So I get that as well. When it sucks in our community because I don't have kids, I don't really know how to speak to them. I don't desire to have children, but it always seemed that being a dad was a punishment for us. It was, oh, you got locked down, bro, or like you gotta have them kids, or if it falls out, it was like, yo, you weren't nothing. And so there were some kids growing up in my generation that were afraid to be dads. They didn't want to say, hey, look, I want to have children of my own, but what would be the thing? 50 Cent did a video this year that posted on his account that was like, yeah, Mother's Day is get flowers and dinners, but Father's Day is here's some tools, go fix something, right? But I do think it's important to say there are dads that, my dad never taught me how to ride a bike or took me to a baseball game. But if I sat down and go, Dad, explain to me what a PE ratio is when it comes to stocks and bonds, he did. You know what I mean? If I really wanted to learn how to wire things, he would teach me. I just didn't want to at the time. So I always say, as a dad, you're going to scar your children because it's the way it is. They're going to take things you've done because you're human beings. But the idea is that you want to scar them like a nice little patty from a burger, right? There's nice even lines so they can be still presentable when it's all said and done.
Well, it's funny. I like that. No, I just think that's. I don't think you and I ever talked about this before. It's like it's from my friends. We talk about everything, and it's funny. We haven't really talked about this before, so it's very. I like this. No, for me, I know I was a father I didn't have. So my father did show me. My father showed me how to be a father in a weird way.
In spite of.
In spite of. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was, and that's the guy's guy. In spite of. He showed me. And you're right. There are things he taught me for business that served me well today. There are some things he told me. I was like, he is absolutely correct. Like, absolutely correct. I mean, for just a small example, he went to the office with all females. We're usually like, James, you make sure you greet every female in the office, make sure everybody's treated the same, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you're just being sexist, whatever. Well, years later, we had an office was all female. And if I didn't say hi to everyone or greet everybody, they would call me out on it. The women would. I was like, right. So you have to come in. And so certain things he taught me that I was like, that's true. That's true. He's like, two people sleep together, they always going to talk. So blah, blah. They have pillow talk. They're going to talk. I mean, there's things that he said that I found out later that I'm like, he's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a horrible business. He didn't teach me how to ride a bike either. But this other stuff that actually I'm using today, he said, make sure you get a good lawyer for certain things. He's absolutely correct.
Right.
I think that's what it is. And I think we have to look at overall picture sometimes, which is hard because we're the kids.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do.
I told him that not the last time I was at home, the time before, because he was like, yeah, was I a bad dad? He actually pulled me aside one time and asked that question because my brother and my dad kind of go back and forth. And my brother, like, I never swear at my parents, even though I would like to. I never do it. So like a lot of times my parents appeal to me, like, what's going on with your brother or whatever. And he goes, am I a bad dad? I go, as an adult, I understand why you leave parties early, or why the sense of duty, or why you had to work holidays and Christmases to provide. But I wasn't born an adult, and so there's years where Christmases will go by and go, where's dad? Oh, he's working. Like he chose to work today. Like, what is going on? So it's always going to be difficult, and I'm glad I was able to like at least get that side of him. But you're right, it's like you learn things because of your dad or parents, and loving in spite of them. And that becomes a thing too. Because my dad's the kind of guy that if you had an argument with him back in the day, he would nod, take his keys and drive and not come back for like a day and a half. You're like, what? Where'd you go? Out. But now I feel myself like a politician every time. Well, ma'am, when you said this to me, it hurt my feelings. So let's discuss these feelings right now. I become, because it's like the opposite. Like I want to make sure that, hey, if you tick me off as my significant other, I'm gonna let you know why I'm upset in a measured way before I drive.
James Carr said her family's from Jamaica. It's there is something that has to do with immigrant parents, something to do with parents from other countries, their customs, their cultures. My family were huggers. Everybody touched each other and hugged. It's a big thing. We touch each other, but you know what I mean. Like coming from certain cultures I come from, you hug. It's a hug. Yeah. You hug, you kiss. Men kiss on cheek and stuff. Like it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But the other problem was you can still be a cold person even though you're hugging people.
Right.
And stuff. There's a weird thing. I had a few of that too happen. It's like, or superficialness sometimes. Like it's a custom. It's not something that you just do out of custom, doing it out of ritual. You do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you give a shit about me. Yeah. I have uncles I haven't talked to in 30 years. They don't give a shit about me. And that's just kind of how, but if I saw them today, they would hug and give me call me Jamie, give me a hug and be fine. But that's kind of, I had to go, that's okay, I guess. That's going to be okay for now. Having daughters like I did, I always say is they forced me to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
As men, we're just not designed that way. We can be that way, but we're just not designed that way by nature. I'm a fixer. Mm-hmm. Just tell me your problem, I'll fix it. They taught me that sometimes they want me to fix it. They want to be heard, and validated. Which I was like, oh, I just want to tell you how to fix it. It's so hard for me. But they taught me that. I say I love you to everybody. I've had a lot of death in my life, and I think that goes to the gay part of the AIDS crisis. And I had a lot of friends die, and I think and now my friends know that I know about death. My longtime friends like James knows death. Like, unfortunately, that's a strange thing to say, but I do. So I think for me, I'm always like, I love you. I tell you I love you. I say I love you. I say it all the time. I do mean it when I say it. But by those things, I just know that life is so short. You gotta accept people who they are. You just gotta accept them who they are. I mean,
Absolutely.
if they're horrible, get out. Don't hang in there. But I mean, if they're, you said he's a regular guy, and at some level, he's right. We're all regular people who just have our good days and bad days, say the wrong things sometimes, whatever. And it's just, you have to let people be who they are.
Right.
And I think that's a lesson I'm learning as I get older.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So,
speaking of getting older,
what?
Speaking of getting older, segues.
Speaking of getting older, back to your birthday. So he is going to be doing some comedy, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to show him. This is my.
I did not plan anything.
My comedy book. It's like very felt.
Ooh, it's fancy.
That's some stuff in there. I'm trying to work up the nerve to do something stand up one day.
Just do it. If I'm doing it and they're making me do it, then you gotta do it.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it at some point. Yes. But for you, how? Because we talked I think last year on one other show. You did something. You went to Alaska this year.
I did.
Comedy. You did some comedy. So, are you feeling more like a comedian again, or are you still going through the struggle of feeling that?
So, watching, because one of the cool things about the pandemic is that a lot of the comedians took their stuff online, and so my friends would like DM me comedy clips, and you're watching those, and you're like, okay, well, the mechanics are still there. Like, if you really want me to sit there and write a joke, I can. I am personally struggling with, and I'm not sure what would be the connection with the material, meaning like I want to feel something when I say something. And I don't know if that means reciting. I have to go back to like the schedule of going to club, going up mics to get that in there. I don't know if that's a sign that you try different material, a different space I haven't done before. One of the few things I won't say I get like detractors, but like the constructive criticism I get is that sometimes it's at the surface level and I need to go deeper. And so when my friend told me that one time, that started my writer's block, because I was like, well, what's deep for me and how is that funny and what is considered deep? I don't know what deep is. And so I'm struggling with that more than anything. So my friend hit me up. Hey, look, I'm doing this thing for Hollywood Fringe. I need a roster of comics. Can I just put your name on something? And go, yeah, because I help out a homie. And I go, look, I need you for 10 minutes. And you're gonna write jokes. I'm like, well, I could tell jokes. I could tell jokes and have you clip them out and put them on TikTok, whatever. I could compete with most guys out there now. The question is it me telling jokes or is it me having a connection with the audience? And it's hard to say that because I've been in my house for 2 years.
No, it makes sense. No connection. Oh, totally makes sense, because it's when you're telling a story or anything like that, you want people to go, yeah. You want people to go, and also for yourself, you also, and that's a question. What is deep? Because it's a personal decision on what you choose to share about yourself. So no one can regulate that and say, they can say to you, you should go deeper, but like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And if for you, is that your brand? Is that your material? How deep do you go? And then what is how deep? And, if you're telling somebody, yes, I remember, that time when I was hit by a car, is that deep for you? Or it may be service to somebody else. I mean, I just think it's kind of like, that's a decision that you have to make in terms of maybe you want me to go deeper, but maybe that's not where I want to go. Maybe that's not the branding. But I can see what you're saying. I just want to connect, period, to everything I'm saying. So it flows easy, it makes sense. And I guess it would feel like, oh, this is me talking.
Yeah, I don't want to be a joke machine, or I don't want to be like, joke. And then at the same time, I don't want to be a guy who's like so like off the deep end. Like the problem with gun control is, because I'm not that person either. I'm not a person who screams and thinks that's comedy because it's different. So that's what I'm working on. And I think it actually happened to the greats. I'm kind of glad I'm going through this. I know you know this, but I'm telling the crowd. That happened to Richard Pryor years ago. Like Richard Pryor did it for a while and didn't feel connected and moved to San Francisco. And they came back with it's crazy. Can I say that word now? I think it's crazy, the album, and that like changed his career because he took time off to be like, I'm not connected with my own material. Okay, here's the thing. And that became like the start of his, second act.
It's called That N-Word's Crazy. Yeah. I have the album on my wall. And people look at it and go, it was a huge hit album actually for him, and it brought him back a little bit. I think, and that goes into writing and stuff, that writing anything. I had a writer's cramp. I call it cramp because it wasn't really a block, it was a cramp. I had the cramps. Exactly. Writer's cramp. Ow! For the last couple of months. And it's weird. It's really weird when I feel like for me, God gives me the talent, and I'm a conduit. I just put it out there. And Flobo knows this. I dream stuff, and I just write it.
I'm not mad at that. I'm just kind of mad at that.
I know. Well, somebody else goes, I don't have dreams either. You don't have dreams? Like, I have dreams every night. I do. I dream every night. And I write what I dream sometimes, like songs that come to me in a dream. It just comes out. And I stopped kind of dreaming. And I sat down to write something. And nothing, I mean, literally nothing was coming out. And I was like, I have an idea and a plan. I had notes. It was just dead. It's the worst feeling because I wanted to. And I was trying to write a series that was popular, basically the Easter Hare. And that's the one I was like, I can't write. I have nothing to give. I was written out. Written out.
Right.
Whatever. I was white out. No. That was it. I couldn't do it. And so I said to myself, stop. You can't force it because you can't. He knows you can't force it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to force it, makes it worse. And so I just said, okay. And then you and I did talk this off camera. I think both us traveling outside of Los Angeles, doing other things, is starting to replenish that bowl of it's so low. It was like the tank was low. Like I think I need to live some more life to refill the tank, to refill the brain, to refill the endorphins to want to write again, I think.
Yeah.
And it's tough. No, people think you sit down and write. You can for a while, but I think every single person who's a writer, whether it's songwriter, script writer, anything, we all go through it. Plus, it depends on what's going on in your life too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How that informs you. It's just,
or what album you're listening to, or the I don't know, people you meet in the way of commuting to work or what have you.
Yeah, I'm starting. So folks, just to catch up, I am starting to write again. I wrote the Fairview Heights special, which will be coming out shortly. And I'm gonna start writing. He wrote the first episode, so I'm gonna start writing Peppermint Winter, second season, and get that in there. But we had a really good. I did the email season she just ended, and that was a really good season for us. And so it's starting to come back and write some songs again. It's starting to come back to me now. It's starting. I mean, it's we're not machines. That's the one thing I'm learning as I get older, is that I can feel like a machine sometimes, but we're not machines.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just keep go, and not burn out at some point. And I think you said you learned that also, like when you went to Florida and like just to go, just sometimes change of scenery. I went to Catalina Island. Change of scenery is everything sometimes.
Yeah, we're talking about more this week's episode of New Amsterdam Radio. James Lodgill will be on talking about his Catalina Island adventure.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Or tomorrow, I guess.
Tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be on his show.
Yeah.
Talking about reduced work schedule and everything, because that's something too. So you're 37.
I will be, yeah.
But you look great. I mean, you look good.
Oh,
yes, you will. Okay, you will. Yes, you will be. Okay, got it. Either way, just this week you're turning 37.
Yeah.
You are. Oh, thank you. You look good. Everything. So, what has you different? That's the definition of being a man changed for you.
Yeah, because apparently I am one, and I didn't know. I thought. I don't know. Look, I can't. I'm bad with tools. I can't cut a bagel in half. And I use GPS to go everywhere. But I think I am compassionate, and I think I try to give everyone a chance to be heard. And I guess I can lead a room if you give me an opportunity to. So I think there's more to being a man than what TV says it was. I don't have any rippling abs because I eat like a pig. But I do think I do things that are considered like a leadership role. And I guess I'm not saying that men are always leaders or exclusively leaders, but I do think there is a leadership thing about coming of age and being an adult and things like that. So.
Yeah, no, it's and for me, it's changing. I'm a generation ahead of you. I'm seeing that just surviving in some way that makes me a man. I made it. I mean, I'm still here. As a Black man in America at 53 years old.
Yeah.
Because we have health issues in our community, police issues in our community, all kinds of things happening. And you and I both have had this experience. We both talked about on other shows.
Mm-hmm.
I had a brother who didn't make it to past 47. I feel my definition is changing more too. It's kind of like, it's just that it's more about survival, that I've survived and that I continue to have new experiences. I think that's what, and like you said, try to be compassionate to people, let people be who they are. And I think it's just, I'm not right about everything. I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. And that's how I look at it. And I think that the education should always continue to happen. no matter what it is. So
It's true. It's true. When you're kids, you're like, well, when I get to be an adult, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And then when you wake up, you're like, oh, there's kids looking at me saying that. When was I an adult? I made mistakes today. And it's kind of cool to do that. Which also means you're also on the path of still learning. You're not sitting there going like, I'm a man. You're still like, okay,
it's tough being adult kids. And I'm telling you, I've been doing it 35 years. I turned 18 years old 35 years ago, and I'm tired. I am tired. I'm ready to lay down for a.
You want to go back to being a kid? Oh, I'm just tired. Can we go? I'm tired. This has been fun. Going back to youth now. Going back to being a kid now.
No, that's my mother did. I'm going back in. Okay, Benita, open up. I'm going back in. I'm done. I've already seen it all. I'm done. She's like, no, it's closed.
That's what Jane Fonda said. Jane Fonda was like, I'm 80 years old. It's closed.
Closed. And I'm like, oh, I got that. But no, it's just, being an adult is a lot of work. And I think, for everybody, obviously you guys in chat, we all know this, for everybody. That was related to being, again, a Black man in America. And it's a little tough for that too. I tried to let it hold me back or down. I try to keep going.
Yeah.
But there's times it gets tiring, folks. But the alternative is not doing it. I want to be here still. So I got things I want to do. Name 2 things you'd like to have accomplished in the next year.
Ooh, 2 things.
As we start to close out. What 2 things you want to?
I want to get at least one thing off my the overall bucket list. I have 2. I have ones for every year, and I have like overall bucket list. I want to get something from my overall bucket list cleared away, and I finally want to be able to interview Tony Danza. I don't know why he's been such a hard person to grasp. I sent out monthly emails to his representation, Dan Farrar. I'm like, hey man, what's up? So I think those 2 would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Leopardess. I want to say I acknowledge you. I'm sorry you had a panic attack, night terror last night. It's always hard. I've had panic attacks. They're not fun. Not the same as night terrors, but close enough. They're not fun. And I'm glad that you have a service dog, so that helps. And clozapam. Okay, so good. Okay, I'm sorry that you have to go through that. I know a lot of folks watch my shows and come on here because it gives you a chance. They've told me, Flobo, it gives me a chance to take myself out of their lives for an hour or so. And so I do take the responsibility seriously. Yeah, I yell at you guys sometimes. I cuss and scream. I laugh, I cry, do everything. But I think life is real, folks. It really is. And I have no airs to put out there. I am not trying to be anybody I'm not. And and that's why I like Flobo. Flobo's a regular guy, a nice guy, my friend. And so support him. He's one of the good ones. Support him. So Flobo, this is your chance now, Flobo. Like I always say, you always do for me.
Yeah.
Promote the fuck out of yourself.
Yeah, you can find them wherever Flobo Boys are sold. No, I'm just kidding. I love doing that bit. Yeah, at Flobo Boys on Twitter, at Flopito on Instagram. I do have the web store, flopito.threadless.com. Buy a t-shirt, support the homie. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Flobo Boys, or a beer. Doesn't really matter. Just a little tip jar for those who want to help. If you're like, oh man, I like hanging with you. Do you have a YouTube channel? I sure as heck do. YouTube.com/Flobo Boys. I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/Flobo Boys. And the Patreon, we call it the Boisterous Crew because everyone loves puns. Bonus content's available all the time. Patreon.com/Flobo Boys. And what am I missing? Oh, yes, New Amsterdam Entertainment, newamsterdam.com, which is a home of so many podcasts like New Amsterdam Radio, Commander's Log, Flobo started Netflix, Draped in Gold, Wrestling, and more.
Yes, and he's doing appearances at places, he's doing stuff. So just follow him everywhere so you can find out what he is up to. And occasionally he comes on my stuff. Occasionally. So you may see the name running around in JLJ Media somewhere. And it is here. Thank you so much, Leopardess. I'm glad we do. Here's the thing, folks. Why is telemarketers calling me? Let me know. It just popped up. I was like, telemarketer. I'm like, no, don't call me telemarketer. Leave me alone. No, what I was gonna say is, everyone, please try to be kind to each other, be safe to each other. The world's crazy. It is. It's crazy. It is crazy. We need to have less crazy in the world. Of course, you can follow me where all James Jr. is sold at James Lott Jr. and also the platforms. I have my Patreon tag. I remember to make sure my friend Matt gets mad at me because I don't promote it enough.
Yeah.
I am Patreon James Lott Jr. I'm still trying to get to, as Candace said, I was going to do something at 21 Patreons. I'm at 18, I think, right now. So we're almost there. You're 21. I don't know what I'm just thinking. I'm singing to you live, or so I don't know what's happening. But
You're singing to me live.
I don't know. It's something. Candace has a whole thing she did on the show saying, "Like the 21 Patreons, I'm going to do something for everybody." I don't know.
I want to be serenaded. What's up?
I'll sing to you, Flobo.
Hey.
Also, Flobo does work hard like Jay. He does. You can also buy me a coffee too at James Lott Jr. Buy me a coffee over there too. Of course, I don't have any merch yet. I'm working on that at the moment. But also, if you need any life coaching needs, alotofhelp.com. My website is out there. Also, any teaching of organizing stuff, James Lott Jr., Super Organizer, and my book, Sort Out Sundays. Get it everywhere. And I have a new book out called Searching for Walter, which I thought I had it sitting over here, but it's not over here right now. That's my 60-second book. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Go over there and check out all my books.
60-second?
Yeah, 60-second book.
Stop.
It's crazy. It's stupid.
Stop.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can check that out. All 62 of my books on Amazon and James. I know it's kind of weird. And new music is coming out. We have an album we're working on right now. I was almost done. I decided to retool the whole thing. That's what we're working on right now. So Voice a Lot is coming. It's coming soon to you. It'll be coming soon to you. I'm working on all kinds of songs. So Candace is coming soon. Not me, Candace. Kirsten, I like my music. It's coming. Of course, all these shows on JLJ Media. I mean, JLJ Media audio and video. I had the best week in my audio in a long time. Also, I don't know which guys are listening to, but I appreciate it. Tonight, the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm very scared. I need to be held. Me, Frank Moran, and John Dunphy will be talking about the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I can't believe it's over already. That's tonight live at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube. My curly hair is here. Get ready for the Emmys. It's Friday.